Ooh, dissolve. Very cool. Thank you all for joining me today. A bunch of things have changed in order to do today's demo. But as always, I love to say welcome everyone to today's show. And want to know, where are you watching from today? Because this is a worldwide show, man. We got people around the world. So you're here, I'm here. I'm not an AI bot. We can have a conversation. We're live. So jump into the comments. Talk with me. Let me know if you have any streaming questions. Wait, I got a thing for that. Let me know if you have any streaming questions. No, it's reversed. Let me know if you have any streaming questions. We'll get there. We'll get there. And also let me know where you're watching from. I am in Dallas area, Texas, Central Time, where this morning it was like freezing outside and it's gonna be nice and warm this afternoon. So it's crazy. Fall has finally arrived in mid-December in Texas. And so we have some leaves that are still green, some leaves that are brown, and some that are yellow. We don't have the big fall colors like up in the Northeast, but hey, they got snow already up there. So I'm gonna turn this light on over here. So I got a very special thing today. I'm going to hold up the box. Today I'm going to be talking about the Studio Edge. Disclosure, they did not pay for this. I did not pay for this. They sent this to me for review. I actually don't know the cost, but I think it's pretty expensive. Probably, I would probably guess a couple thousand. And when I get done this review today, I have to ship it out. So I don't get to keep it, but they did not pay for this review. I saw this in an ad and I was like, that looks pretty impressive. And I asked them if I could get one here to do in a show, and they sent it and they want it back. So no money has changed hands. This is just an interest of mine. So what this is in a single rack unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 NDI encoders in a single rack space. Now, you could kind of do that with a couple converters. Actually, I meant to grab this before the show. You could kind of do this, like Bird Dog has their little Flex, and yeah, you can power this from an external thing. It's got a little fan, it's got a tally on it, it's got one HDMI. And that's great. You could kind of do it with a bunch of Sparks, you know, and they have they have a loop through and an Ethernet port, and that's pretty cool. But this thing is really cool, and we're going to get to this in a minute, but I always love to hear where everybody's watching from. So where are you watching from today? And David Gresham says he's watching from Colorado. And I realized that this thing, come on, work with me here. This thing is still crawling, so let me get rid of that. Chat. And he's watching from Colorado. Saul Joliet TV is watching from Chicago, and good old Kirk, who just branched out and started his own streaming business. He is in Dallas, Texas. We actually did get together. For those who watch the show regularly, I kept saying, he's in Dallas, Texas, we should get together. We did, and we had a great long conversation, and it was really great to spend time with him and learn from him, and it was just really cool. Hello from Oman. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. It's got to be, what, 2 o'clock in the morning there or something? Can you do the Trump dance? No, not even going to try. From Daphne, Alabama. Thank you, Ronald, for chiming in. I appreciate you there. Pocket Video School is back. Mark from Northumberland, United Kingdom. And William Lowndes is in Long Island, New York. All right, everybody's jumping in there today. Nathan Arias is watching from Saskatchewan, Canada. Okay, I thought it was cold down here. It's got to be downright frigid up there. Let us know what the temperature is in Saskatchewan, Canada right now or overnight. Probably minus 25 Celsius. Probably, I'm just guessing. My daughter is actually visiting, my sister is actually visiting, and she lives up in Alaska, and it has been minus 30 Fahrenheit already up there. So, woohoo! And then you want to go the opposite end of the spectrum. Wayne over in Queensland, Australia is probably coming into summer. It's probably 40 degrees Celsius down there. So again, worldwide audience, this is the magic of live television. Again, I thank you all for being there. And let's see, I can take this one out. Wait. It's minus 30 right now. Minus 30 right now in Saskatchewan, Canada. So yeah, my dad lived up in Fairbanks, Alaska, or north of Fairbanks, Alaska. And I came to realize once you got to like minus 20, it was out to kill you. Like, you do not go outside unless you are prepared for war with the cold. Minus 30 is, the cold is out to kill you. And that is just, anybody who's brave enough to live in those type of environments has just been, whew, more power to you. It's just amazing to know that people live that life. Not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. I believe they actually they match at minus 20. I believe Fahrenheit and Celsius actually around minus 20. They actually come together, and then one passes the other. But I think at that point, it's just, nasty cold, angry cold. Rocket Video Cool says, been on tour with a comedian doing IMAG for his arena shows. Hey, cool. Work is work, and more power to you. Next week, I will be in Germany. I will be doing a show. I will not be bringing my entire studio with me, so it'll just be on Restream. Maybe it'll be a call-in show. We can get to know people who are calling in. Into that, I put like a little QR code in the corner up here. And we just have a conversation because I can't bring everything that's in the studio because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 monitors, 1, 2, 3 video switchers, not counting in-stream, not counting the in-stream, which I'm now going to start on Instagram. There's a lot going on here, but hey, tune in next week. I will be here doing my live show, but it'll be a little bit more casual than usual. So, and then the holidays are coming up, so we may not have any shows after that for the rest of this year. So next week may be the last show for this year. So, hey, it's really cool. Again, I appreciate you all being here. And as the viewer count goes up, I'll just say once again, welcome everyone to the StreamTEK show. Ooh, wait, I fixed this, right? See if that works. Come on. No, not you. Go away. Nope, that button's just not going to work. That one works. Stream Technology on YouTube and Stream Technology on Facebook. But for whatever reason, it just does not like that one. So here we go. There we go. Chief Gearhead here at StreamTEK. Again, I produced this show on the Director Mini, and the 3.0 update added these cool animated graphics. But for whatever reason, I use this wireless keypad, and it just does not like this key in the corner. Like, I can push this, and it doesn't do anything. But if I push this one, works just fine. This one works just fine. It does not like this button. So I'm gonna have to move what button that keystroke goes to, and then I can touch that right there on the Director Mini. And let's see, I don't need to have my name up here the whole time, so let me turn this off. Boop, boop, boop. Thank you all for being here. Let me come down to the bottom. Oh, got a new one in. Voice on the Move Radio Live, Subasiso Wanda. I hope I said that right. Let me know. Siso Wanda from South Africa joining you. Thank you very much. I love having Africa join in as well. We got Africa, we've got Australia, we've got, what was that other one? Oman is here, Saskatchewan is here. So this is what I mean. It's a live show. We are live around the world, and this is the magic of live streaming. This is where, this is what we're all talking about. Anybody can push live to the internet. I am live on Instagram. I am live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and getting comments from all of those. So if you have anything to say, chime in with the comments. I will warn you that when I do fire up today's feature guest, it's going to get noisy. It has 4 big fans on it. It's like firing up a server because it is a professional piece of gear. And just a reminder that what streaming questions do you have? Throw anything you want into the comments. I will do my best to answer it. If I don't know, I'll just tell you I don't know. But it is not limited to the subject of today's show. It could be audio, it could be microphones, it could be wireless. And speaking of that, I did get a question already. Wayne, what is the Wi-Fi range of the new Ozbot? I need it to be 40 meters. I'm glad you need it to be 40 meters. There's been some discussion in the Ozbot group. It was initially posted. There's a new Ozbot Tail 2 coming out, and it's going to have an optical zoom. And a lot of people, I would say more than half the people that saw that immediately thought it was a new Ozbot Tail Air with an optical zoom. And they're like, oh, this is going to be a game changer. In reality, it's not a Tail Air, it's a Tail. Tail Air is wireless. That's why it's called Air. And the Tail is already in existence. It's been out for years and it has an optical zoom already. So it's not game changing anything. It's just a new version of that camera. The Tail 2 has a slightly longer, from 3.5 to 5x zoom. It has full-size HDMI, full-size SDI, full-size Ethernet on it, as opposed to just like a single USB-C. So they're really professionalizing the camera. And that is all well and good. But it does not, that page that they created does not mention Wi-Fi anywhere. And I would think you would mention Wi-Fi if you're going to go from the Tail 1, which does not have Wi-Fi, and then you're going to come out with a new model that does have Wi-Fi. You would mention it on the product page, and it's not mentioned at all. So I'm of the mind that if it had Wi-Fi, it would say it. However, someone pointed out to me that in comments somewhere else, 2 admins in the Ozbot group say it does have Wi-Fi. Okay, so maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. What is the Wi-Fi range of the product that has not actually been released yet? Nobody knows. I'm glad you need it to be 40 meters, but hey, if you need a Wi-Fi to be 40 meters, and I apologize for constantly walking out of frame, but for the same price as the Ozbot, which is $9.99, on sale, early adopter special, pre-order special is $9.99. This is the BirdDog X1. And as you can tell from the antenna, it has Wi-Fi. And it has a 20x optical zoom, not a 5x optical zoom, but 20x optical zoom. Now, the X1 is not 4K. It is HD, but you get HD all the way through a full optical zoom range. And you get full-size HDMI on the back and a full-size Ethernet. It is power over Ethernet. And it's not an Ozbot product. So you're going to have, if you already have an Ozbot ecosystem, it's going to be different. But it does offer tracking and a whole bunch of other features, and it's $9.99, and it has a real optical zoom on the front and a big halo tally. Actually, I did a video on this. Go check out the StreamTEK channel because I have no place to put it down. Because I'm surrounded by gear. You'll see in a minute. So I don't know if the new one is going to be 40 meters, but the key thing with the BirdDog is it's an external antenna. You can put on a higher gain antenna if you want. You can put on a directional antenna if you want. So that way, if that camera is off in a certain direction from where you are, you can have a directional antenna aiming at you, aiming all of the Wi-Fi at you. And when you need to issue commands for PTZ, it's receiving from you, not omnidirectional. Whereas the Tail Air, it's an internal antenna. Which direction does it face? Nobody knows. Probably all directions. So there's that. Let's see. So far reaching now, Anthony. Yes, it does reach very far. Fabio Ropa has joined us. And it says, Pavel, following all your platforms, what is your experience? What is your opinion to use mesh systems with NDI? Really good question. And my phone is buzzing right now. Hang on. Just hanging up on that. Really good question. Let me say that Netgear understands how tricky NDI can be. So they already have business routers and commercial routers and consumer routers, and they already have all these routers and switches, and then they came out with a separate line that specifically designed for NDI, the AV series. And I did a show a couple weeks ago on using a ROG, Republic of Gamers Asus ROG for wireless NDI. Because, in my opinion, it would have the speedy backbone. It's designed to transfer a lot of material very fast. Asus ROG routers also are capable of mesh networking, and I have used it years ago, actually, before COVID. I had two of their square ones, and I had one in a room with the conference and two PTZ heads and two locked off cameras and stuff like that. And I was outside the room with the other one, the master, and that was the remote. I had the master one, it's got the 4 antennas sticking up, and I had a TriCaster, and I was able to see and control all those cameras over Wi-Fi, and it just worked. So, will it work for you? Will it work in your situation? What other wireless is competing in that area? Because 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands for Wi-Fi are also used by a lot of other things. So a mesh system is going to have to contend with wireless radios. It's going to have to contend with comms. It's going to have to contend with somebody with a dedicated Hollyland or Teradek, wireless video transmitter and receiver. And that's just going to take up a wide swath of frequencies. So frequency scans and knowing what you're competing against is going to be more important than a mesh system. I know that doesn't really answer the question, but it's a really big discussion that doesn't really have a specific yes or no answer. So, like I said, I do my best. And if I don't have a specific answer, that's what you're going to get. So anyway, let us get back to today's show. Today's show, we're going to be talking about the Studio Edge NDI x6. Now, when I first saw this thing, it was like, that's NDI x6. And I have it right here. Let me go side by side and go overhead. This is the box. It is a single rack unit box, and this is how big it is. I actually really like the color. And I've got it hooked up already. So I saved a lot of time. I hooked it up already, and I'm using HDMI. But remember, I saw this thing and I says, oh my goodness, it's 6 NDI in one rack with one plug. That is going to be fantastic. I really love that. Then I got it and I'm like, oh wait, no. It has one plug, yay, powers everything. And each one has a separate Ethernet connection. So each, unit is still kind of separate. It's its own board. It's not like one Ethernet connection with all these converters. All of these are separate. But as you can see, I've got HDMI in and HDMI out. I've got loop through, which is cool. I've got SDI in and SDI out. So it's not just an HDMI converter, it's an HDMI or SDI converter. It's a encoder or a decoder. It's both of those. It's whatever you want it to be. And then it has a port here for optical fiber. You can plug in optical fiber that will go out to a separate box. When I read the instructions, it kind of indicates that it is their own sort of system. It's not like SDI. So you need this box on one end and you need another box from this company on the other end. But then you've got the lightweight, high bandwidth, super thin fiber cable, which also is electrically insulative, you don't have a ground loop issue like you have with copper cables because it's optical. There's no metal going between this box and the other box. So you're insulated from it. And this can go 1,000 meters, you know, with this optical cable to another box. Now, it already says this is encode or decode. It is HDMI with a loop through. It is SDI with a loop through, or fiber. So it's a fiber encoder or decoder, either or. So I could take fiber in, or I could push out to fiber from here. So that's a bunch going on already. And then I find out it's also a format converter. So somebody could send 4K in the fiber, and then you could spit HD out the HDMI. Or so you could take in HD and spit out 4K, or it's just, there's so many different things that you need, that each of these modules can do, and this one box has 6 of them, which makes me believe it's upwards of probably $2,000 to $3,000. I don't know what the price is. Somebody can look it up and post it into the chat, and that would be great. So do you need to have SFP modules as well? I don't know if, essentially they're SFP modules, but when I was reading the manual, they were very specific about using our optical converters to our boxes. You can do this. So I think it's a closed system, but still it's another option, you know, whereas, you know, HDMI is not going to reach terribly far. I know there's fiber HDMI, but HDMI is usually meant for close range. SDI is pretty good for longer range, but to be able to throw things into fiber is pretty cool. This comes in. Studio 6 is a special switcher adapted to NDI. I don't know what Studio 6 is. This is called the Studio Edge. This is the Studio Edge, and see if it's got a specific, I think it does have a specific. Yeah, of course it's not on the box. And it's all wired up, so I'm not going to mention it. Science Image is the company. Studio Edge, and I've got the instructions right here. Let's go overhead. There's different models. Depending upon how many of these modules you want in here, they have different models. And let's see if they have it on here. They don't have it on here, but on their website, they show you, actually right here. You can't see. We'll see it when we go to the interface, where it shows you here's one with 1 module, 2 modules, 3 modules, 4 modules. So there's different models of this unit. And I don't, just the way the back plane is designed with one single piece of metal all the way across, I don't think you can upgrade later. And I don't think it comes with all these big holes. Now, one thing I'm going to let you know is I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to turn this on. There's 3 fans on one end. Let's go to overhead. There's 3 fans on this end pulling air out. There's 1 fan right here pushing air across it, pushing air across each of these modules. And in the instructions, they say these are PoE modules. You can actually power the module with power over Ethernet, but there's no ventilation unless you plug in AC and turn it on. Then you're going to suck a whole ton of air through. It's going to get very noisy, and I'm just letting you know. This is basically meant for a rack. It's meant to be somewhere else. It's not meant to be on the production table, and you'll find out why. Yeah, boy. Then I have a camera over here, so you can see this is now booting up. I have encoders, and this one I have set up to be a oh, did it forget what it was doing? Yeah, I think it did forget what it was doing. So that is 6, and I think 6 I set up to be a decoder. Let me look at the close-up camera. 6, yeah, is on the out. So this one, let's go to the side cam. So what you can do is there's a rocker switch on the front here, and I am going to push and hold, go into NDI mode, and it's an, yeah, and no, this is a decoder. I'm going to push it down to decoder, and go select decoder. And it's going to save, and it goes like that. There's one interesting thing. You can see here, I've got a bunch of red lights. There's actually tally on this thing. For each of these devices, like a camera's coming in being converted to NDI over Ethernet. So the way I'm using this is overhead, is I have video feeds coming in, Ethernet going out. And then the reason they have two separate things here, I have the output of my vMix setup. vMix is not paying for sponsorship, blah, blah, blah. I have output of my vMix setup of all 5 of those encodes coming out as program back into here, which is then being fed into, I think it's being fed over there. Yeah, I think so. We'll see. I think so. I think that's this. Oh no, that's the output of the computer. So here you can see the computer. I have, and I can move the mouse so I can hear, I have my camera, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 encodes, my camera and 4 more encodes, which are coming from my external playback box, which I reviewed on the StreamTEK channel. So I have 5 feeds coming in. Now let me go over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 encodes I've put up here in this multi-view, and these are all coming in via NDI. You can see NDI science image, NDI 1, NDI science image, NDI 2, NDI science image. So these are clearly coming from this box over Ethernet to the laptop, which is now ingesting them. And if I held up, let's see if I can do this. If I held up my, yeah, it's busy. All those things are at gigabit. And in setting up for the show, let's see if I can get the direction right. In setting up for the show, I had a problem. I had dropped frames, and it took me an hour to narrow it down to one bad port on this Netgear that refused to go to gigabit speeds. It would only go to 100 base T. And you cannot squeeze 5 streams of video over NDI over a single 100 gigabit connection. It does not work. Trust me, I've tried. So that is what I'm doing here. I've got all these sources coming in, converted to NDI, and then they're going over to vMix, which you can see is handling all these. You can see full motion from all these things. And then the output of that, oh, I should put that into, I have to turn on the external so the output's there. And then, I don't know where that goes. That goes out through the feed. I actually really don't know where that goes. I've got so many wires going on, so I apologize for that. This is the bi-directional version, isn't it? Yes, everything on here is bi-directional, like I showed in the menu on the side. Right here, I can choose, using this front switch, when I go into here, NDI mode, I select that, I can encode or decode. So let me come down here and say decoder again. S4 Omni. Yes. So now it's seeing my Stream for Us Omen over there as my output. And when you call up the website, let me bring that in here. When you call up the website, yeah, I was setting up for my audio. Let me clear this out of the way. You can see here's that decode channel. Because each one has its own Ethernet connection to your LAN, each one has to be logged into separately because each one has its own IP address, which makes it a bit clunky. I says, it'd be really nice to have like a global log in. So I could quickly go between, you know, let me set this. Oh, let me go over there. Let me do this. No, you have to log in to each of these 6 channels manually. Thank you. So Pocket Video School looked it up and says it is $7,200 at B&H, which really explains why they want it back. But it's amazingly powerful. Would I need to have fiber? No, maybe there's, you know, they could have a non-fiber version. But then again, it's easier for manufacturers to just put everything in the one board and not have to have the HDMI version and the SDI version and the fiber version and the HDMI and SDI version and the HDMI and fiber. It's so much easier just to be like, this is what we have. But you can see right here, when I logged into, let me make that full size. When I logged into the channel, there's the downside. Down here at the top, it just says home. It doesn't say what module I'm logged into when I logged into it. It just says home. And the other channel that I'm logged into up here says home. I'm like, that's not helpful. That's definitely something they could do a little bit better in terms of figuring this out. So you can see if I click on encode here, I don't know why it's not listening to me. Oh, because I'm clicking on the wrong screen. If I click on encode here, you can see, like I was saying, 1 module, 2 modules, 3 modules, 4 modules, 5 modules, 6 modules. The one I have down here is the 6 module, and these are the standalone converters you could have at the other end of the fiber. But you can see channel 6 has no encode. But when you go to decode, it says, I'm seeing all of these things on the internet. And you can, you know, obviously with NDI, you can refresh if something has been added. And then you can choose what that is. I think it's also very important at this point to be clear that this is a full NDI unit. It will take in various forms of NDI, but the encodes are all for full NDI, not HX3, not super low bandwidth, so you're going to need a good network. I'm doing 5 channels at full NDI, but at each one's about 100 megabits, maybe 120. On the Bird Dog, you can lower it to like 80. And then the return channel is 1, so 600. 600 to 700 I'm doing on a gigabit switch. So it's within tolerance. But if you were trying to do 4K, because this can do 4K, if you were trying to do 6 4Ks over NDI, you're not going to do it on a gigabit switch. You're not. Because each 4K is around 300 megabits. So you'll get 3 4K NDIs over a gigabit switch, and you'll probably already start to be dropping frames because you're at the saturation level of a gigabit switch, and there's always overhead and things like that. So this is my decode channel. This is my decode channel right here. And if I click over here, I've already got saved the encode channel. Now, here's my encoder. You can see it's got 2160, 24. It has all these different frame rates. So the video comes in, and regardless of what it comes in at, I can convert it. So if somebody hooks up a 720p camera and I want it to be 1080i, boom, I can convert it right there. This will even convert for, I think they say for export only, for decode only. It will actually let you do DCI. But because NDI does not have a DCI standard within it yet, you can't throw DCI over NDI. Is that enough acronyms for you? Maybe we'll ship it via UPS, COD. If you continue down here, you can name the stream, so you can do custom names, aspect ratios, frame rate adjustments, and then down here is the bit rate. And it says % of normal data rate. It just would have been easier to like put a number there. 80 megabits, 100 megabits, 150 megabits, because it's really hard to do bit budgeting when you turn one unit on and the thing just whoom, goes up to here. I don't have, this is not a managed switch that I'm pushing everything through, so I can't look at the data rate going through it at the moment, but you can adjust the data rate. There we go. Look, I adjusted it. What is the data rate now? I still don't know. So here's another area where I think this box, especially at $7,200, they could provide a little more information to the end user as to what is actually going on right now. NDI encoder volume. Oh, the audio volume. Oh, here's the other neat thing. There's a line input on every single one of these things, and a reset, and there's a reset button. But there's a line input. So if you're feeding in SDI, but it's just a camera feed, but you want to feed program audio into it, you can do that too. Just, again, it's amazing. Man, this thing lives up to its price tag. I have to agree. I mean, I don't own a production truck, and I don't go out and do 3 shows a week to be able to just like bang on this thing and hammer it and find out how well it works. But the fact that it's designed for some serious cooling, that's a definite, when you work with some lower end products and you're like, oh, it overheated, like a Black Magic, I got to put on I got to get a better cooler, or it overheated, or it stopped streaming, or the Duet, or all these different boxes, and it's like they need to be cooled better. And this thing, you turn it on and it sounds like a small jet. It's clear they understand cooler processors run more reliably. So yeah. Continuing on with the PC. So I can adjust the data rate, but I don't know what it is. And then, you could obviously do a firmware upgrade, but again, each of these units is separate. So there's no overall management of the whole unit saying upgrade all 6 of them. You have to go log into each one. You have to upgrade each one. It's just, I kind of wish it did have like one Ethernet port separate from all the other things, so that you could plug, just less wiring, first of all, more simplified, and that way you could also administer multiple boards from a higher administration level. Let me scroll over here. Converting standard feed to feed you need, and then have all 4 types of transport available. This is a great thing, but really high price. Yes, I agree. The price is, I would say the price is commensurate with the capabilities that they have built into this thing. The price reflects the engineering to make something of this level happen. And then of course, I also have to imagine the amount of people that are going to need something like this versus something like this. A single bird dog converter. You're going to sell 1,000 of these for each one of these units. 1,000 of these for one of these. But for the people who need this, there's also a higher level of expectation as well. So that's why I mean, when you come over here to the front and you come over to the encoder, you can click on, or you got to click and hold. And then, oh, I'm on the wrong one. I'm over here now. So you go into setup mode, you have your NDI mode, primary in, so you can choose whether you want SDI, HDMI, or optic. We can click on that, SDI or HDMI. Come down, we'll go back. And then you come down to your primary input, HDMI, I did that one already, go back. Output format, here you go, your format converter is right here on the front. And I think that's pretty important. The fact that you can do it over the web, and I believe they do have a cloud, so you can administer it remotely as well. But on the face, when you're in a truck and you're right in front of the unit, to be able to not have to dig something else out, to be able to change the input, to be able to change the output, to convert one of these modules from encode to decode. Listen, can I just do it on the front of the unit? Yes, you can. And in a fast-paced broadcast environment, that is critical. To be able to like poke around in there. Let's continue. So I'm going through my different settings here. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Go back up. Back. Primary and output format. Optical setup. Whether you want optical transmit, optical receive, or optical off. And we go back. NDI mode, encode or decode. And that's all the setups in the setup menu. So we can go back up and it says quit. Saving. And again, you've got the tally on the front for the multiple inputs I have going in the vMix because they're all in program. The fifth one, it's saying is not in program. And if you look at vMix, technically, let me go over. 1, 2, 3, 4 are in program as 1, 2, 3, and 4. The fifth one is actually duplicated over here, green screened, and then that input 7 is over top of here. I just wanted to, I don't know why, but I thought of keeping this by itself, and I put 7 over here. So that's why it's saying 5 is not, tally on 5 is not up, because 7 is the one that's being layered in over here. So it's not a mistake of the tally on the front of the unit here. It's not a mistake that's saying this one is not there. Where's it? Oh yeah. This is 5. 4 is over there. 5 is over here. 6 is over here. Now, one thing that I'm going to say I don't like about this thing is it has these power buttons. These power buttons stick out. You can power each of the modules by themselves. I don't really know why you would want to turn specific modules off. If you're just not using it, it could just be not plugged in. But you can turn off a module. You know, whoops, I bumped into it. And now 3 of these got turned off. These 3 got turned off. And if I bring this over here, you'll see they're off. And if we go to my vMix, you'll see 1 and 7 are still working. The other ones are frozen. I generally would not want a device like this, especially with important broadcast stuff going through it. I would not want something with buttons that stick out, because you could very easily bump into it. Even, you know, you're working on something else and bonk, and now you just turned off 2 feeds. There's no cover. There's no, you know, usually on something that is important like that, there's like a thing you can put over top to protect the face of it. And I've even seen for audio installations, there's like, you screw it in with special bolts so that, you know, some other people can't, oh, let me just fix it. You know, I don't like the way it sounds. I'm going to adjust things. Now, the advantage with this is, now you saw, I just turned them off and I just turned them on. And now if we go back to vMix, these are working again. So they automatically started receiving video. They automatically started sending it, and vMix automatically picked up these 3 feeds. Occasionally you'll see these jump, just because they're on like a loop of I don't know how long, a minute or 2. And so all of these are just playing back from a playback device so that I could test things like this. And then every minute, minute and a half or whatever, that clip that's playing back loops. So things will jump. And I think some of these clips are different lengths. So this one may jump independently of the rest of them, but at a certain point they all have to repeat. So I would love to show you the fans, but again, I've got all the wires hooked into this thing, and you could probably hear it. So that's an indication. Another weird thing, let me go to the overhead. Another interesting thing I found is it pulls from this side, not from the front. Normally a device is going to pull cool air from the front and push it out the back. But as you can see from the back of this thing, it's pretty chock full of stuff. Like this goes all the way across like that. You know, so you got set 1 here, set 2, set 3. It's all the way to the end of the unit here. Set 1, set 2, set 3. This is all ports. Then you got your power, your switch, and then only on the very end right here is a little bit of space that doesn't have something on it. And if I go to the close cam, that's where the label is. And so there's not a lot of space for venting. I mean, I guess they could have put a row of ports here to come out, but if you got another piece of equipment sitting right on top of it, that's blocked. And when you stack stuff up in a rack, that's what happens. They just literally sit right against each other. So they went in one side, out the other side. There's a good breeze on this side. But if the hot air is building up inside of a rack, this is going to be pulling in hot air and blowing it into the rack and pulling in hot air and blowing it into the rack. Another thing I realized is they've got a filter over here to catch some dust, like a little dust grate on this side. Man, you can really feel the air being sucked in. But the openings around the ports, you can see the openings around the SDI ports. Dust is going to go in here. It just is. Dust is going to go into any open port, you know, especially a larger port like the optical ports. Dust is going to go in. And then even on the front, there's gaps around each of these openings that I think over the course of, let's just say, regular use in a situation where it's embedded in a rack, in a studio or whatever, and this thing is just on, and dust and carpet and everything, these are going to, you know, collect dust. And I don't know how well, I hope these are not optical. I don't know how well these are going to be working, and the inside is going to, how clean the inside is going to be after a year or two of just this amount of air draw pulling things in all of these, you know, tiny little open holes. Because I know I've got other gear, you know, if you have a computer and over the course of a year, then you like look at the back of it, it's been pulling all this dust in it the whole time. So that, I think, is something that, you know, I would wonder about. And I'm not a big fan of buttons without a cover to protect them. I mean, these are actually okay. I mean, aside from maybe being bumped and broken, but you can't do anything really fast. You have to push and hold, and then you get into the menu. So that I think is okay. Quit that. But these buttons to just, you know, accidentally, oops, that channel's dead. That I think is a little bit of an oversight. But in terms of what this box delivers, no, not that one. In terms of what this box delivers, I have to say I am suitably impressed with everything they crammed in here. I thought it was 6 channels of NDI conversion. And in a well-designed professional enclosure with good cooling, rack mounting, I'm like, yeah, nice. One plug, not have to work with all these dongles and power adapters and crap like that. One box. And I was like, I really want to take a look at this. And then diving in here and seeing the fact that it's an up-down cross converter. It is both HDMI and SDI with loop throughs for everyone. So if you put something in a chain, you can then take that SDI and go somewhere else with it. It has optical in or out. You know, it's not like, oh, this is an optical transmitter, and this is only an optical transmitter. This is optical transmitter or receiver. NDI encoder or decoder. SDI in or out. HDMI in or out. Audio line in manual. Ethernet on each port is, you know, I'd be curious to see what the advantages would be to one Ethernet port for all of them that are turned on versus each one having to have its own Ethernet port. In terms of administration, I would love for the software to be able to, you know, like, yeah, if you have your browser already set up with, you know, encoder 1, encoder 2, encoder 3, encoder 4, encoder 5, encoder 6, and you have them all lined up, then it's just as easy to go between the different modules. But when you first set up, it's like, okay, what is the IP address of 3? I don't know. I had to do like a little IP scan and find it out. Now, you can see right here, if you have one set to decode and it looks on the network, you can see right here, it says here's NDI 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and it gives you the IP address. You know, there's not like a little gear icon where I can now go and administer that channel. That would be cool. That would be nice. And hey, one global page that gives you links to all the subpages. There you go. There's a good added addition. Hassan says, converting standard feed to the feed you need and then have all 4 types of transport available is a great thing. Yeah, I agree. It is a high price, but in terms of getting something and using it day after day, job after job, and especially if you are busy and you have a production truck and things like that, something like this pays for itself in terms of flexibility, reliability, and as I've always says, if it proves itself to be bulletproof, that is worth its weight in gold, because being able to put something in a rack and just rely on it and not have to, like, you know, oh, I hope it doesn't overheat. Oh, I hope, you know, maybe channel 3 is working today. Oh no, 3 is usually, to just rely on it is worth its weight in gold. Is this device self-serviceable? Like, can we open the screws? That is a good question. They look like Torx on top. And the top cover, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 Torx. And because I got the question, and because this is a live show with you here and me here, let us take a look. I happen to have from an NAB, from Wooden Camera. They were giving these out at their booth at NAB a few years ago. I think I did get it started. It's always one of those, is it going to be the right size? And it looks like it is the right size. So with the tool that I have just sitting here on the table, I'm taking the screws out. So yeah, user serviceable without any specialized tools. It's not a security bit. It is really tiny. Let's go to, it is pretty tiny there. But the fact that you can get in here and, you know, take it out of the rack, labeling all your cables, open it up, hit it with a can of air, blow the dust out of it. The other thing that I was kind of disappointed to see, knowing that it's going to get dusty, knowing that the fans are really pulling in air, knowing that it's going to get dusty, the dust filter is on the inside of the unit, not on the outside. It would be nice if it was like held by magnets, and you could take the dust filter and just blow it off over here and then put it back. As it is, you would need to get like a vacuum and, you know, vacuum the outside of this to pull the dust off it, since you can't just remove the filter and then take it somewhere else. But I don't know, if you're gonna like have regular maintenance on your truck, open this thing up, blow it all out, make sure it's clean, don't touch any of the components, and that is going to help maintain its life a good long time. Keeping things clean so they can be cool, definitely. That is a very important feature of something like this. So that kind of wraps up what I wanted to talk about this unit. I am really impressed with the Studio Edge in terms of what they have crammed into a single rack unit. You know, again, 6 units, 6 modules with its own display on the front, with a tally on the front, with, unfortunately, a power button on the front, an easily bumpable power button on the front, and NDI in or out, HDMI in or out and loop through, SDI in or out or loop through. Actually, I don't know if it is loop through. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know if it's loop through. Let me say it's not loop through, because they say in and then they say out. I don't know if in goes to out by default if you're using this as an encoder. So let me just say that based on how you've got the module selected, I haven't tested it because I didn't have time. Let me just say that you could do either in or out, and it's not going to be, this one is just an encoder. This is a Spark. And so in loops through to out because it's only going to encode to NDI. So the output is only going to be the loop through. It's never going to be a decoder. And if you have any other questions, feel free to take them. Again, I will be mobile next week in Germany, and I welcome, worldwide audiences come in and have a chat. If you don't already follow me, please go to, trying to manage all these different screens. Please go to the StreamTEK page on YouTube. This is where all the videos are kept, all the live shows are kept, all the interviews are kept, different playlists. We've got shorts. You can search the videos for a particular item, a particular solution, a particular topic. I have multiple videos on NDI, a beginner's guide to NDI, more NDI, all in on NDI. There's several videos, and I've always been a proponent of video over IP, and I especially like the flexibility and the affordability of most NDI products. Yes, you can get NDI in a $7,000 product. Actually, you can get 6 times NDI in a $7,000 product. So each one's about $1,000 plus building it all together. And you can also have high-end NDI cameras, and then you can have the OBSBot Start, which is a $399 camera that has NDI. So NDI spans the range of products that enable you to leverage it at the level you are at. I'm going to turn this thing off. The sounds of silence. Again, great for deployment in a truck, an OB truck, in a rack of gear that you're able to put over there or somewhere else. A couple questions came in, and again, this is a live show. If you've got some questions, throw them into the comments. Let's go here. Question came in. How do you get your NDI not to have delay? Looking at you, it looks pretty good. Full NDI is very low latency. So this is a full NDI unit, and when you encode in vMix, that's the encoding from a software package is full NDI. And full NDI has always been very low latency. NDI HX is more latency, typically. Except, I did a test of the BirdDog camera, the new BirdDog X series, HX3 from the white camera that I held up, the X1, tested against full NDI from a BirdDog P200, having them both, like looking at me, going through the same network, both wired to the same software package, the HX3 was a hair faster. So I was impressed. I don't know if this Studio Edge decodes HX3. I actually don't have any HX sources on the network that would have tested it. I'll have to do a test and put that in the video, because all these live shows are then converted to a standalone video focusing just on the product. NDI there's a couple misnomers. How do you get your NDI to not have delay? When we're comparing NDI delay in today's show, this camera coming into my switcher versus this camera coming through NDI, through that switcher, and then over, it was pretty low delay, but there was still a frame or so of delay. It also depends upon what you're using it with, because I'm also going to a switcher that has non-synchronized sources. If you're not gen-locked, and this NDI box does not have a gen-lock port, maybe you can just use the SCI for it, but I did not see anything mentioning gen-lock to a switcher. So if you have all the SDI ports going into a video switcher, they're not gen-locked. They're not in sync with each other or with the switcher. So then the switcher has to rip each of them apart, and that's going to add another frame to 2 frames of delay. So if you can have gen-locked cameras to a gen-locked switcher, that is going to be the fastest way to do it. So don't think that delay is always NDI. Don't think it's always, oh, HDMI is slower than SDI. It has a lot to do with the whole ecosystem of what you've got going on. And then your IMAG screen, you know, if you've got a super high resolution projector and you're feeding it HD, that means it's doing an upconvert in the projector. If you have an LED wall and you're feeding it a 4K or an HD feed, it's going to rasterize that across the panels. That's processing. Processing takes time, and that is going to add delay. So it's not always the NDI, it's the whole path. There's a little bit of delay at each step. So solving the HDMI thing might not be the total solution. Another question comes in. YOLO question. Can you have 3 NDI and 4 HDMI in the YOLO Ultra, and will that work? You should see my YOLO video. If you go to the StreamTEK channel, I have a video here where I put 15 cameras into a YOLO Box Ultra. These are the live shows. If you go to the videos, you scroll down here, I did 15 cameras into a YOLO Box Ultra, and that was indeed, come on, waiting on YouTube to give me the rest of the stuff. There's all the NAB coverage, all the different booths I was there. Come on, let's go. I'm sorry, it's just taking a while to get here. There it is. YOLO Box Ultra and 15 cameras. So I had 4 HDMI, I had 2 USB, I had 3 NDI, and then I started bringing in remote callers, and you can bring in 5 remote callers. And I crashed it. But then again, that was several firmwares ago as well. So the firmware has been, I have not retested this to see if I could get it to crash. And it only crashed once I started adding the remote guests. So adding the web interface, and you know, I just, where is the breaking point? When I test things, I always love to know, where is the breaking point? How far can I go in, and where is too far? So when I'm using this in actual production, I know, go to here, not there, because I've pushed it. I have broken it. I have exceeded the capability of the unit, and that is too much. But if I go to here, I have to know where that point is to know how far I can go. So that is what I was doing with those tests, is I was pushing these devices to the limit. And similarly, I did a test of there's my NDI videos. Maybe it's after that one. 10 cameras into the Director Mini. You can see it up here on the left. 10 cameras into the Director Mini. The Director Mini does not have a remote guest feature, so I didn't have the extra 5 for the Director Mini, but the Director Mini has 2 HDMIs, 2 USBs, 3 local using their app, and 3 NDI. And I hooked all of those up into the Director Mini, had them all going. And then I did a dissolve between a background with 3 active cameras and a background with 3 active cameras, and I slowed it down to a full second, and I did a slow dissolve. So at one point on time, there was 6 active cameras on the screen. But generally, the Director Mini does not let you have more than 3 live video sources on the screen at the same time. For the sake of reliability, this thing, I was not able to crash. So they have put in limitations that say, oh, I wish I could do this. That might affect reliability. They've tested it, and then they say, in order to make sure that you have a more bulletproof unit, we're only going to let you put 3 live video sources on the screen at the same time. That will keep it under 80% of CPU usage, and that way you're going to get all your frames, you're going to be super happy, the recording's never going to go bad or anything like that. So that is what they're doing there. YOLO Box is definitely pushing the limit, especially with the remote guests, but was I exceeding what the CPU can do? At the time, it didn't have a CPU meter. Now it does. So that would be worthwhile retesting the 15 cameras and keeping the CPU screen up and seeing what's going on and how far I'm taxing it. Because if it crashes because I'm pushing it too far, then I know don't go that far. You know, how fast can the car go? Everything has a limit. And let's see, William Lown said, very loud. Yes, I agree with you. I was happy to turn it off. But again, with great power comes great cooling needs. And it's nice to see something that says, you know what? We need to cool this. We're going to cool this. And that's just the price you pay. Now, could they have picked quieter fans? Could they have used a blower unit as opposed to tiny little box fans? Yeah. But maybe that would affect other design constraints, require different voltages. I don't know. I'm not an engineer in their team. So again, if you are watching on LinkedIn, on Twitch, on Instagram, or any of those other really cool streams, be sure to go to the StreamTEK channel, like something, share something on your channel that you find useful. That really helps me out a lot because it exposes the StreamTEK content to people who might not know about it or have ever found it in their own feed. So that does me a solid. Also on the Facebook channel, we have the the StreamTEK page where obviously you can see that I'm streaming to. I did a show on TeraDeck AirMix, which is a free iPad-based with Android or iOS cameras, multi-camera live switch, great little tool. If you're interested in getting into super mobile live production switching for the price of free, I have a video, tells you all about it, does a demo before you even get here. TeraDeck no longer supports it, but then again, TeraDeck also doesn't charge for it. It's up on the iOS store. It's available for free. So if you've got the time and the wherewithal and the iPads and the phones to try it out and you want to give it a try, especially for church groups, faith-based, live streaming, small community organizations, repurpose some older gear. This was, I believe, made available before COVID. So it's about 5 years old now. So it was made for devices from 5 years ago. So if you have a device from 5 years ago that you're no longer using, it's actually the device that this software was made for. And that's available to anyone. And this unofficial group, TeraDeck offers no support. This is just, I made the group. You all can go in there and ask questions and help each other and, figure stuff out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it didn't cost you anything. I also write for Streaming Media Magazine. So if you, actually, let's go to, if you go to streamingmedia.com, that's where I write about. And I did this really cool article a few years ago called All In on NDI. And so you can see that I'm not jumping on the NDI bandwagon today because of this cool unit. I've been on the NDI bandwagon for years. And I just think it's a great democratization of video technology. If you can get it on the local area network, then you could use it. And NDI tools at ndi.tv. The NDI tools are free. There's lots of great free NDI softwares and solutions and tools out there. Go have fun. And then lastly, if you need to reach me, actually, my company is stream4.us, and there's a contact page up there. Also, since I brought this page up on the thing, you can go to StreamTEK, StreamTEK.tv. So, not TV, StreamTEK.us. StreamTEK.us will take you right to the StreamTEK webpage, which also has a contact page. So, there's a lot going on there. And lastly, if you like what I do here, I am on Patreon. So, thank you all for being here. I'm going to have to call it up with my finger because the button don't work. My name is Anthony Brokas. I am the chief gearhead here at StreamTEK. And I thank you all for being here because that is the cool magic of doing a live show is worldwide audience. You can do it. I can do it. We're here together. I'm not an AI bot just repeating a marketing brochure. And hopefully that's why you tune in, because you appreciate good live content. With that, I am going to bid you adieu, and I will look forward to seeing you, go away, seeing you next week.